that for a second. So the map is going to be Dragonshire in this first game here between C9 Vortex and Barrel Boys. And I believe that C9 Vortex is higher seed, so they get first choice here. Between first pick, first ban, or second pick, second ban. So we'll see what they opt for. I imagine it will be they will take first pick, but we'll have to see.
Yep, and of course, they're just debating that right now.
Banhammer, here it comes.
You think so?
Yeah.
Dragonshire versus Vortex is actually not out of the question because iDream leans to Vortex so frequently. And guys, I have a bit of an announcement to make.
That's right.
Liquid Chef is no longer Liquid Chef.
Who's Liquid Chef?
Exactly. He is now officially a full-time member of Cloud9. He has changed his Twitter. He has changed his in-game name to say C9 Chef. You can see that on the screen here. And, you know, congrats to him. He's been on Liquid for a very long time.
He's also been on Vortex for a very long time.
Well, he's been playing with Vortex under the name Liquid Chef, but it looks like,
that's what I mean.
I assume a contract has come through, and he is part of their official roster. And congrats to him. It's definitely well-earned as they took out SMG. They won an ESL event recently.
Yeah,
they've been playing very well.
Doing well.
But we do have some bans here, huh?
Yep, we have a ban on Tychus, so that would mean that C9 Vortex has given up first pick, and the Barrel Boys will be opting for a Tychus ban. Nothing crazy there. He was, and still is, a very, very strong hero to grab. Probably top assassin. Is that fair to say? I think that's fair to say. He's very, very strong. Up there with Vala, of course, and everything. So seeing him banned out, I mean, I also wouldn't have been surprised to see either of the two strong tanks, Stitches and Arthas, banned out. Not the case here. And I also wouldn't be too surprised to see a hammer. And we know that iDream plays a very strong hammer, so they could be opting to grab that pretty early. She is, as we had mentioned during the first game of Barrel Boys versus Quantum Cat, hammer is a very strong pick on this map, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, like you said, shocked if we don't see hammer. Be kind of shocked if we don't see Arthas or Stitches again, banned and picked. Both still incredibly strong players. And but again, that was a very strange first series, not seeing Arthas picked up or banned in either game.
Ban on the Zeratul.
Ooh, okay. They don't want to worry about the VP, and the Zeratul will be removed here.
Oh,
now,
this is so strange. Does that mean a first pick on Stitches? They're given some options here.
That's a really strong first pick, and it seems likely, but at the same time, you have to consider the assassins available. Vala, maybe some teams value a little bit more, or even Tassadar, or even Hammer.
Don't get me too excited.
I like Hammer.
Jeez, I can't. Yeah, okay, Stitches, and McIntyre makes one of those interesting faces that would indicate, like, yeah,
of course,
we have to take Stitches.
Why would we not?
And they had it ready immediately. They follow up with the Tassadar Vala.
Yeah, so no surprise there. Kind of the most predictable first three picks. Now, the interesting question is this Cloud9 opt for a weird tank? Cloud9 likes to do weird stuff. We've seen them lean towards Tyrael and other things. And it's entirely possible that we won't actually see Arthas again. Lily is very strong.
Lily could happen.
We saw Rhaegar played for the first time in the competitive match in many weeks, at least here in Kings of the Storm. And Lily and Rhaegar, viable options, but of course Brightwing and Uther probably the most likely options here for supports.
Yeah, but it's going to come down to what they want to secure, and they're going to probably go for damage here, I would imagine. If they have someone on their team that can play hammer, absolutely not a bad choice here.
Yep.
They already have their tank locked out, and as you were just mentioning, there is a fair amount of options for supports. Brightwing is nice because of the extra mobility that you have here on this map, especially it's Dragonshire. Being able to just quickly go up to a shrine fight that's happening across the map, at a moment's notice, and try to turn it around for your team so that you can secure a Dragon Knight. That's always really nice to have. So I think Brightwing will for sure be picked up this game.
Can't disagree with that. Nazeebo definitely an option here for either team, but I think we're going to see Falstad picked up pretty much guaranteed right now.
Falstad, yep.
By Barrel Boys. And the other pick, I like Hammer. I like denying iDream the Hammer if you can. But the thing about Vortex is they play Hammer. They play Jaina. They play like heroes that necessarily aren't common damage dealers quite frequently. I mean, I think Jaina is we only see played by Cloud9, really, in general.
Yes, I think we can. Yeah, we can say that. like I said, I don't recall them being any other teams that have tried to run Jaina. So K1 Pro, of course, is the guy who enjoys running the Jaina, and I think that's his favorite hero. That's who he plays the most. So it's absolutely a possibility. And we see a Nzebo Kerrigan picked up.
Okay. Well, we saw that Kerrigan in that first game versus
yes, McIntyre has proven himself to be very strong at Kerrigan. Probably actually one of the stronger, maybe top 3 Kerrigan in NA. I don't know.
It's entirely possible.
He's got a good Kerrigan.
Opting for the Nzebo damage, going for the Nzebo style. So this is going to make them want to lean towards Brightwing if at all possible. But it also leaves the option for Brightwing to be stolen by Vortex.
Yeah, this definitely puts Cloud9 in a position to make a lot of... They have many options here, I think, especially with Nzebo. I don't think this is necessarily Nzebo's best map either, because of the way that the map tends to get split up as well.
Yeah, we've definitely... Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree, but it's not like Ravenous is bad by
No, I'm not trying to say that. It's not like trying to play Hammer on Cursed Hollow or anything like that. It's not that bad. But I mean, Nzebo's also in kind of a weird place, too, because last month it was all about Nzebo and how do we deal with Nzebo. And he seems to have fallen off a little bit.
I'd be interested to see what they do here. I personally want to see Thrall Arthas. And, Brightwing Thrall. So I'm getting half that deal. And they could leave Arthas for their last pick, because does your team really want Arthas, Kerrigan, Stitches? Like, as scary as that sounds, is that
that's true.
A worthwhile composition? So they're saying, look, Thrall's really good for the disruption. You have the Sundering to lock that down. And Brightwing is not only benefit, but it counters Nzebo in a decent sense with Emerald Wind. But Thrall... Oh, we're seeing iDream play Thrall, so no Hammer this game for Kubi.
Nope, no Hammer. unless Barrowboy opts to pick it up, which I don't think it makes too much sense. I think they should probably grab Falstad, and they still need a support too. So
yeah, they do. So I mean, grabbing Arthas would be weird for sure. Like it's a deny. That's the only reason to consider Uther Hammer.
Uther Hammer.
Okay.
So all right. So I think the assassin role is going to be picked up either Falstad or Hammer. I think those are the two highest likely options to grab there. And I think, Uther's, Brightwing's picked out, so you may as well, I would say Uther's probably the next best option here.
Definitely.
Doesn't have the crazy mobility, but does have the extra stun options that you don't have on Brightwing either. So I'm okay with this. And then who's going to be their last pick?
Arthas.
They do need to sort of pick up that tank. They could go Tyrael too. They have shown quite a bit of Tyrael in the previous tournaments, even since this last batch. So they could go Arthas. Tyrael is absolutely an option, especially when you consider that Nzebo is on the other team. They do go Arthas here.
Oh, they do? Okay. So one thing I want to point out is Arthas Thrall is very similar to what Kerrigan Arthas is. You pair Arthas, they have the double Envenom, you have the double Root available,
yes, that's
Frozen
true.
Tempest, a lot of damage. Thrall can do more damage output quickly than Kerrigan can. He has less stunning. He has no stunning, actually. Just has, except for his heroic, of course.
Right.
And
but the roots are there.
But the roots are there, and the damage output is terrifying.
Yeah. And when you look at early game ganks, that's kind of actually a hard one to say.
Yes, level 4 they get.
It's still there. You just need the roots. You don't really need the stuns. They're effectively the same thing. So it's only when you get to level 7 and up that you really need those stuns to knock people out of channeled abilities, etc. So yeah, that can absolutely work. That's a very, very strong roaming combo. I think we will see that into great effect, and it's really going to be up to Barrel Boys. How do they deal with it? And it's kind of flipping the table, because last series we watched, it was all about how Barrel Boys was applying the pressure. So we'll have to see how their defense is.
Yeah, it's true.
Put them to the test.
That's a great point. Of course, Kerrigan very strong on the enemy side, available there, and Stitches the hooks can absolutely change games for sure.
Yeah. So they're actually putting almost all of their faith into Thrall to deal with Ravenous Spirit. Which can happen. I mean, you have Wind Fury to give him that speed boost to get him into position, and then he can throw down that Sundering. So
I really think that we will actually see a Blink Heal comp here. Blink Heal with Cleanse on Brightwing. I know Chef has been playing a lot of that style, but let's introduce our teams.
Absolutely. On the blue side for Cloud9 Vortex, we have Cloud9 Chef playing Brightwing. Rarjar is going to be playing Tassadar. iDream will be on Thrall this game. Bobby Hank Hill is going to be playing Arthas. K1 Pro on Vala.
And on the other side of the map, we have Barrel Boys. McIntyre is going to be playing as Kerrigan. We see Cursed Fury sitting there body blocking with his Master Skin Stitches. And we have, of course, we already talked about McIntyre. Fan on Sergeant Hammer. Blink's going to be playing Uther. And Trummel will be on Nzebo. Both teams very much veterans here in the Kings of Storm series. Look.
I love it. The BM to his own teammates. He has such an aerodynamic hat. Trumbull does. Look at it.
I mean, when you're riding your zebra, you've got to be as beautiful as possible, right?
Kind of looks like a semi-truck, you know, with the giant thing on top.
Goodness. Oh, looking at the level 1
talents. Yes, absolutely. We do have Bribe on Brightwing. That's no surprise there. I think the other level 1 options aren't quite as impactful as you might imagine there. We do have the mana regen, yes, for Tassadar. That is the Wind Fury upgrade, which reduces cooldown for Thrall, Frozen Waste, which is the increased size for Frozen Tempest. No surprise there, very standard pick. And we're going to probably be seeing a multi-shot build out of Vala with the composite arrows, increasing the range of multi-shot. For Kerrigan, on the other side, for Barrel Boys, we have Sweeping Grass. This is also a very standard pickup for Kerrigan that just gives you extra reach to stun out people with that Primal Grasp there. Death Ritual on Nazebo. Conjurer's Pursuit for Uther. Advanced Artillery. All those are very, very standard picks. And Curse Fury is opting to go for Chew Your Food, which is the upgrade to Devour. It gives you an extra 50% heal over time. He's probably also going to be grabbing, what is the upgraded healing?
Amplified
healing, yeah, I was blanking on that for a second. So he's probably going to just be going a straight tank build. We'll likely see him pick up Relentless at 13, Fishing Hook at level 16. That's just the style of build here.
Yep. Pretty standard stuff across the board, though.
Yeah, nothing too crazy here, but that's okay. So we're probably going to be seeing quite defensive play, as we had mentioned, out of Barrel Boys here to start things off. They do have control of the top shrine. That could change it any second here. And we do have that kill top lane. Arthas was able to just barely able to kill out Curse Fury Stitches there, and that will give C9 Vortex control both shrines, and that may lead to a very early Dragon Knight. We'll have to see how they play it out.
Now, that's very uncommon to see a death in that top lane when you have tank versus tank.
Yeah,
very uncommon to see a 1v1 death in those kind of situations. So well played there. I'm sorry that we missed the action for you. As it stands, like you said, a very defensive side here for Barrel Boys. We've seen the Arthas, or excuse me, the Tassadar rotate down to the bottom lane when he knows he has an option to do that, when he doesn't have to be soaking those creeps. McIntyre making his rotation down as well. So 4 in the bottom. McIntyre, though, could lose some soak here. He lost 1 minion at least, and he's making his way back up to the mid lane.
Yeah. That was smart of Barrel Boys, so they know they had to put a ton of pressure onto the bottom lane. They knew Arthas was top first, so for a little bit they couldn't rotate. They basically had to sacrifice middle lane for a little bit, pull someone down just to make sure they had control of bottom. It looks like Trumbull is going to be overextended a little bit.
Yep, taking a lot of damage, but you know, he can't tap well for a little while. If we see that was able to tap the well there, and presently we can't actually look at the timer for him. It looks like he's waiting for it, so it's probably going to be ready in just a little bit.
We do have Stitches back top lane. He does have control of the shrine over Bobby Hankill. I would say more often than not, especially before Arthas gets Rune Tap, and if he is going the Amplified Healing build that we had talked about, he is going to have more sustain than Arthas will, and he has a little bit better lane clear without having to overextend as much with Slam. Arthas has to get really far into the creep wave to do that damage, so...
K1 Pro just steps on a mess of mines and gets chased away by spiders, taking a lot of damage.
I mean, it's what we were talking about. You can throw all those mines down, and it just sort of gives you a lot of unknown presence that the enemy team has to deal with. And just like, oh, that's okay, that's half my HP gone. Exactly what happened to K1 Pro there.
Well, middle lane going to be pretty stable. It's hard for Kerrigan to get that pull when Tassadar can just, you know, phase into a different dimension, essentially, and dodge all those abilities. Going to be a pretty static lane, but we've both been rotating. Checking his Giants there. McIntyre just kind of rotated down to make sure the Giants weren't being taken. Chef is looking for the bribe. McIntyre's right there. Does he get it? It's actually, he's really just kind of poking around, making sure he has vision on them before it happens. He knows they might be trying to gank. He doesn't want to risk it. Oh, K1 Pro is super low. The poison's going to be able to get the kill. He goes in, he taps the well, and they just secure that with the Primal Grass. iDream backing up. Chef knows they're going to be putting the pressure on there, so he goes and he grabs those Giants, and he's going to be phase shifting out of here instantly. Rarjar getting a lot of aggression here in the middle lane as well. So although they lost a member of their team right there, and a little bit of aggression got put on the bottom lane, they almost took this fort, and they took these Giants.
Yep. Absolutely, and that forces Barrel Boys back. They have to deal with that because the way that they stand, it's outside of the creep lane, so the creeps won't aggro them until like they've killed at least one of the towers and are starting to push in. You just don't want to give that tower for free. That is free experience for Vortex. Brightwing, that's Shaft that's playing on Brightwing right now. He has opted to go with Cleanse at level 7, and this really points to him absolutely going for a Blink heal at level 10 because you're giving up so much of your sustain if you don't take Gust of Winds or Regenerative Rains at level 7.
Gust of Healing, yes, but
oh, sorry, yep.
Maybe it is Gust of Winds, I could be wrong, but either way, like you said, by giving up that sustain, essentially
They do have healing ward on Tassadar, but I think it's
got to be Blink.
It's
got to be Blink. And this also gives you the positioning where you can actually Blink heal onto someone and immediately cleanse them. You can make some really crazy strong plays with Cleanse.
Yep.
Of course, Cleanse is only available on Uther and Brightwing, and we're seeing those be the two supports taken, Cleanse being a very strong talent, especially when you got to worry about stuff like this happening to your teammates. And iDream does get out of there. We see the poly going down on Blinks, and both shrines being held right now by Cloud9.
Yep. So we're going to see possibly some rotations up to mid. Yeah, and we absolutely see Thrall rotating up. It's going to put some pressure on Zebo there in mid lane. He might be able to capture this. Actually, I know he's coming back down.
A nice shoot by Chef, but does he have Blink Heal available? He does. He uses it himself. He manages to get out of there with the self-healing from the Pixie Dust. Nicely done. That's the thing about Brightwing at level 10. So hard to kill, but iDream going to get blown up there. McIntyre, in return, has that Ultralisk, body blocking entirely. 2 kills picked up there. They really zone Chef out. That's going to be a shrine for them, but I don't know if they're going to be able to take a Dragon Knight with this.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Cursinger in that top lane to sort of put some pressure on Arthas. It doesn't look like he's able to do that at the time as he is pushed back to that tower. C9 Chef is left to clean up and soak for this bottom lane, so for now things look to be a bit neutral. Yeah, that was actually crazy. I wasn't expecting that fight to go the way it did. So we do have level 10 for both teams here. We did see that Blightwing picked up the Blink Heal there. We have Archon, Sundering, Army of the Dead, and I believe that is Reign of Vengeance. Other than Reign of Vengeance, those are absolutely everything we expected to see. There is a fair amount of stuns. It's possible that Stitches may end up picking up the increased slam range and pulverize level 16, which can be a real pain for Volos to try to get in with that strafe because it cancels it immediately. For Barrel Boys, we do have Summon Ultralisk, which we did see in that last fight, which almost was wasted, but they ended up cleaning up that 2 for 0 there, so that works out, and it's almost off cooldown too. We have Ravenous Spirit, Divine Storm, Napalm Strike, and actually the one I want to talk about is Putrid Bile.
Wow, okay, so that hook forced Sundering out of iDream, and that was really big, but Putrid Bile, like you said, a huge talent.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, normally we would expect to see, especially someone that's trying to get in too far to deal with Ravenous Spirit, you would expect that Gorge might be a tool, a counter tool, to grab that person and just pull them out of the fight for a couple seconds, give Ravenous Spirit a little bit more time to deal that damage. That doesn't appear to be the case. Perhaps he's just sort of trying to do some preemptive zoning, lay down that patch, and make it a little bit harder for that person to get in too close, which we're expecting to probably be Thrall in this case.
I'm also intrigued about the idea of seeing Putrid Bile be used in conjunction with Kerrigan. You throw Kerrigan into that mix, and they're all kind of slowed down as it is. Kerrigan's a lot safer to engage and do a lot of work there. So we'll see how it ends up working out. A lot of aggression here in this bottom lane, fighting over this fort. This will, in fact, give both shrines to Cloud9 if they manage to take it. They do pick it up. Reign of Vengeance goes down, but then Kerrigan Ultralisk is going in. Chef is going to get eliminated from that Divine Storm. Just a lot of damage output. The Ultra Zone K1 Pro back so far, and this is going to be the bottom shrine going in favor of Barrel Boys. This game is so even right now.
Yeah, it is. Man, I'm loving the Ultralisk play here. It's working out really well for them. Like, they're getting a ton of pressure with it.
iDream actually just going around the back, but immediately getting stunned, and then he gets the Shrinking Ray. It's going to blow him up. McIntyre very low, but the heal goes down from Uther, and they're going to pick up K1 Pro as well. That's a 3 for none in favor of Barrel Boys here in this bottom lane. They have control of that shrine. The top shrine is being capped here by Curse Fury. Bobby Hankill is worried about the rotation, so he's just going to be giving it up, and that's likely going to be the first Dragon Knight of the game, picked up at the almost 9-minute mark here for Barrel Boys.
They've absolutely earned it, and I want to like really stress what we were talking about at the beginning of the game. We were talking about their defense, and they played it out perfectly. They've only dropped one death to Vortex, even though they really technically do have the stronger early game. So they played the defense right. Now is when they're going to be picking up their power spike. They have more potential to get kills, etc. So they appropriately played this. They played passively in the beginning, and now they're starting to get aggressive. They're pushing out, taking that shrine. They didn't have control of that bottom shrine for how long? You know what I mean? And now they picked the right time. They're going in and getting those kills. So good for them. They're playing out their composition perfectly.
Now, Dragon Knight's going to get them a decent amount of experience here as they take out that fort. They do have just about a 1-level lead at this point in time. We can see the talents are pretty even right now, but this fight is going underway, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, we see all 5 members have rotated down for both teams. This Dragon Knight is going to be a constant threat as it's the front line, and we see all the heroics are about to be available with just that one blank heal charge regenerating.
I'm really waiting patiently to see if a hook gets cleansed. I really want to see it. That is going to be the hypest thing if we see that.
It's definitely an option here. We see the Sundering going down on McIntyre, completely dunning him out, followed by the Rain of Vengeance, but the heals from Uther are there. The protective shield goes down, keeping him alive. In the meantime, we see that multiple members of Cloud9 have fallen here. The Ravenous Spirit going on Bobby and Kale, blowing him up. We see the Archon in the front line doing a lot of work as well, and they just have to fall on back. They had such a strong initiate, and Blinks is so low, but it wasn't quite enough. We just see that burst healing out of Uther being enough to keep Kerrigan alive for a little bit longer than we would have thought, but she did end up falling.
Yeah,
so 1 for 2.
That ended up, you know, like you said, it was keeping Kerrigan in the fight for just a little bit longer. Was able to get that, you know, that rewind down in that combo, which gives her a little bit more shields, just enough time to stay into that fight. They were able to isolate Chef out of that fight there, and they were just like right at the gate. He was almost behind the gate, and they picked him off very early, which removes the sustain for Vortex, and they were able to sort of take a 1-for-1. Positional advantage, though, absolutely going to Barrel Boys there. They were able to push down that gate, and if, you know, they take another fight like that, they'll absolutely be able to push down that bottom lane and take that keep.
Now, Barrel Boys took those middle knights. That's a big play. That's kind of there's no boss on this map. That's the closest thing. That's the neutral camp on the map. So it's nice to pick that up. They're cleaning up their giants right now. They took the offensive giants as well, and they're really just taking complete map control at this point in time because they know they have the advantage. They put on that aggression here in this bottom lane, and they're making sure they keep extending their advantage while they can.
Right, and there's no other objective really. This the shrines are going to be up for down for another maybe 45 seconds to a minute or so. So the next best thing they can do is just sort of make sure that they keep their lanes pushed out. They do have that level advantage right now, so they can just sort of, there's no need for them to try to get aggressive to force a fight, because if they do, it's going to be on Vortex's terms. They're going to be fighting underneath a fort or a keep or something to that effect. And they're not that far ahead where they can do that, so they just keep rotating around the map, taking those mercenary camps is absolutely the right play.
Yeah, but level 17 was hit during all of that, and we see that Fishing Hood is here. We do have the Minefield for Hammer. Pretty standard stuff. Imposing Presence, something that we definitely have to consider. When you have Vala and Thrall, Imposing Presence is going to have a lot of effectiveness.
Tassadar too in that Archon, so it's going to, and that's a 50% attack speed slow for those heroes, and rely quite a bit on those auto attacks to do some of their damage. So I like that pickup. Anytime I see that, I'm always just looking at the enemy team to see what kind of attackers they have in terms of how they're getting their damage output. And like we were mentioning, Vala, Tassadar, and Arthas are all getting a good chunk of their DPS out of their attack speed. So a good pickup there. I like that. It's sort of a snap call. You can go for that or hard focus. We do see the Specialized Toxin out of Nzevo. That's pretty standard, blood for blood, for the extra sustain. We do have a nice hook on iDream.
Yes, iDream is going to get blown up very quickly here. Divine Storm there to secure that kill. Bobby Henkel is falling incredibly fast as well. The Rain of Vengeance is just a little bit slow there. He's in a tough spot. We see the Ravenous just being completely uncontested as two members of Cloud9 are already down. Rajar doing what he can, but he has to back it up now. He does have the increase in speed there on Dimensional Shift as he falls back. That's going to be a fort going to Barrel Boys, and the Dragon Knight is going to be completely open for them to grab right now.
Yeah, I really like the Uther's positioning during all of that. He was actually a little bit far forward in front of the Stitches, but what that sort of did was allow him to get a Divine Storm that not only hit Thrall, but also stalled out some of the other team from getting to him to try to get him out of safety. So because he was like in front of Stitches in that spot, that really guaranteed to get that kill, and that also allowed them to pick up the Arthas immediately after. So nice play there from the Uther to follow up so nicely on that really nice hook that we saw there out of Curse Fury.
And we can just see them pushing across the map with this Dragon Knight, actually trying to determine where they want to go, and they're just going to make their way down to the bottom lane, clean this up, and then push down with it. Making sure they stay with their Dragon Knight. They do have a full minute left with it right now, and all 5 members of Cloud9 have had time to respawn.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that we can bring up here. You see a lot of teams, especially when you're playing in pubs, where someone will grab the Dragon Knight and they'll just walk their face right into the keep or something to that effect. You do have over a minute of time on this Dragon Knight, so you may as well make sure that you're pushing out the creeps. You really need things to be soaking up the damage of those keeps that are hitting you there. So wait for your team, wait for everyone to be there to get the maximum benefit out of the Dragon Knight, and that's exactly what we're seeing Barrel Boys do here, because they really want to make sure that they can secure this keep. If they were to just walk the Dragon Knight in, you're going to lose it before it even gets a chance to do any damage to it.
And during all that time, Chef was soaking the top lane. He knew he could phase shift back into the battle when he had to, so he wanted to try to kiss them up in experience. That's another little thing that you'll see Brightwing players do that makes a big difference. Punting Thrall out, they have to kind of wait. This keep is going to fall guaranteed here, as both teams are a little bit worried about the initiation. We see them going in. Sundering could be a big option here, but he's getting locked down by the mines. He gets blown up so quickly. The mines kept him locked down, followed by the pull-in from Kerrigan, and Divine Storm just completely made him worthless in that fight. He tried to set up for the Sundering, but everyone else was just, I mean, the story was told as soon as Thrall couldn't get that Sundering off, that's what the entire initiation was based on. And I don't know what else to say.
Yeah,
They just got destroyed because of it.
That's absolutely true. I mean, you saw him in there, and then it was a combination of the mines, Kerrigan's pull, all that stuff just made it so that, like, every second, there's a little bit of startup to Sundering, right? So
yes.
he tries to cast it and gets stunned by the mines, tries to cast it again, gets stunned out by Kerrigan.
You get stunned initially, that's 10-second cooldown
oh, okay,
set on that.
Okay, yeah,
so at that point, he's already in such a terrible position.
He's too far forward.
He can't do anything.
He's got to cast from maybe a bit more of a distance or something to affect it. That dominating team fight right there obviously led them to just be able to walk in. They had just taken out that keep, so they can just walk in and take out the core there.
And
pretty nice, yeah.
That's actually kind of the other thing. Like, not only was Sundering interrupted, though, Thrall relies on casting his abilities to be able to stay alive.
Yeah.
By casting abilities, he can hit multiple targets. He can really just keep a sustain going with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it just...
Yeah, because his passive works.
Right.
If you guys don't know, but every time he casts 5 abilities that hits 5 targets, I should say, that gives him a 10%. Is it 10% heal or something around the number? I think it's a static number
like
that scales up.
Yeah,
but basically, that gives him a ton of sustain so that he can get in there and stay alive. Sort of like how Kerrigan can jump in, hit a bunch of people with her abilities, and she gets shields based on how many people she hits. Same sort of thing with Thrall. That's what lets him stay in the front line. But if you're getting stunned out the entire time, you can't cast any of your abilities. And Barrel Boys reacted to that perfectly. They said, this is the priority target. Everyone just switched their focus right away onto him, stunned him out. Couldn't get the initiate for Vortex, and the rest of the team fight just sort of crumbled apart from there.
And that's kind of one of the interesting things that you wouldn't think that Hammer would be like a good pick against Thrall, but the mines, once they have the knockback at level 13,
and the concussive blast as well.
It's so much that can deal with him. Right. So worked out really well, guys. That was game 1.
That was Dragon Share. That was pretty convincing. It's probably one of the better times that I've seen Barrel Boys playing that was looked really solid. And we're not talking about any slouches they're playing against here. This is Cloud9 Vortex we're talking about. So that was very, very well played from Barrel Boys. And you know, I hope that we see equally awesome play out of them from game 2, and that Vortex brings the heat. Let's see it, guys.
Well, we'll be back in just a minute here with game number 2. Figure out what our map is, guys. So stay tuned and make sure you tell your friends and family
and your dogs and cats,
about the tournament going on here, guys. And we'll be back in just a few.